to our devotions for today, Wednesday. It is indeed a joy and a privilege to be with you this morning. And we trust and pray that our time together will be rewarding for us all. We come together this morning. We are mindful of all that is going on in our world. But as we realize that we are a part of life and life is a part of ourselves, and things actually occur in our world, things that we like, things that we may not like, but at the same time it is all about being here in this world and having to go through the various tests and challenges of our world. So we find ourselves really in a space where we need to come back to center and see how we can allow God to guide us and to lead us into a place where we can be at peace within ourselves. And from that place of peace and stillness, to be able to meet the challenges that will come to us in our daily lives. This is life. It is a part of who we are. It is a part of the journey. And all we can do really is to find the best path forward that we can take. And one of the most wonderful ways to do this is by strengthening our connection with the Almighty. When we do this, we find ourselves in a place where we are strengthened by God's presence, strengthened by God's love, and we're able to deal with whatever comes our way. So let us take some time now and let us come into that space that we know where we can be at peace with God, where we can experience the presence of the divine, the love of the divine, where we can feel that we are alive, and as we breathe in and out, we become mindful of being in this place. So much of our lives is filled with anxiety, and we all have it. We all have to deal with it. Every day there's something that occurs and we are challenged by it. And that's what life is. Life is a whole series of challenges and lessons to be learned. Some we will get through successfully, others we'll have to come at again. But right now, let us just see if we can strengthen that source, that connection that we have, that we've been afforded. Let us see how that connection can bring us through the day and assist us in this journey. So we come into our heart space and we take a few deep breaths, taking our time to breathe in and to breathe out, becoming fully aware of the fact that we are here, we are in this moment, no other moment, but we are present. And in this moment of being present, everything that we need is right here. And so we bring ourselves into this moment. And we feel all that supports us, the chair, the bed, the floor under our feet. We acknowledge that which is above us, the radiance of the sky, and all that it provides every moment. And we allow that divine presence to fill our heart. We allow ourselves to take in the light, like a ball of light coming down through our the crown of our heads, and coming down into our hearts, and allowing that ball of light to begin to expand as we breathe more into our heart with a wonderful spirit of gratitude and love. We anchor ourselves in this light, and we allow this light to expand until it goes beyond our bodies, beyond the room in which we are sitting, beyond our homes. Just see that light encompassing our entire home or wherever we are at this point. And knowing that we are in the midst of this. We're divinely protected. We're divinely loved. We're divinely cared for. And we say thank you, Lord. Thank you for this gift. And we allow this light to continue to expand until it fills our island, our continent, until it crosses the oceans and encapsulates the entire earth, our home. And we add our light and our love to whatever light and love there is in our world. We conjure up someone in our minds somewhere in the world who at this very moment is in a moment of despair, a moment of deep sadness. We will never know this person really, but in your mind's eye, just conjure that person up and beam your love at that person's heart. Whether it be an adult or a child, a male or a female, just be specific. And just let your light and your love single out that heart. And cause that heart to come away from despair, to recognize its creator, to feel the divine love and the presence, and to know that life can change and things can be different. And there is healing in this very moment. Let us remember that this is all work in our world, a work of healing, a work of bringing love and peace into a broken world. Ah, my Lord, how can we thank you for all that we are? What can we give to you? What can we say to you? We may offer ourselves completely in full surrender. Accept our gift, dear Lord, of ourselves, knowing that it is all that we have. We trust you as the one who has called us into being and have kept us each and every moment of each day. Keep us ever aware of this knowing and assist us in living into this knowing through this life and the life to come. You, Lord, are our hope and our joy. Amen. Our reading for today is taken from the 11th chapter of the Gospel according to John, reading verses 45 to 54 of chapter 11. John 11, 45 to 54. Many of the Jews, therefore, who had come with Mary and had seen what Jesus did, believed in him. But some of them went to the Pharisees and told them what he had done. So the chief priests and the Pharisees called a meeting of the council and said, "What are we to do? This man is performing many signs. If we let him go on like this, everyone will believe in him, and the Romans will come and destroy both our holy place and our nation." But one of them, Caiaphas, who was high priest that year, said to them, "You know nothing at all. You do not understand that it is better for you to have one man die for the people than to have the whole nation destroyed." He did not say this on his own, but being high priest that year, he prophesied that Jesus was about to die for the nation. And not for the nation only, but to gather into one the dispersed children of God. So from that day on, they planned to put him to death. Jesus therefore no longer walked about openly among the Jews, but went from there to a town called Ephraim, in the region near the wilderness, and he remained there with his disciples. Here ends the reading. One of the things that we notice in life, and we are oftentimes amazed by it, and that is that fear is such a dangerous thing. Fear arrests our ability to think. Fear paralyzes us. Fear causes us to act irrationally. In this morning's reading, it's the aftermath of the rising of Lazarus. And persons are believing they have seen some mighty works. And they're believing, and with good cause. They've seen with their own eyes what God is able to do. It's like a new day, a new dawning of God's work in the world. And you can't help but wonder, and we know that is probably not the plan that was in place, but you can't help but wonder if persons 2,000 years ago had embraced what they were receiving and were able to not just embrace it, but to emulate it. You wonder where we would be today. You wonder whether or not we would be hearing stories of nations lining up their troops against the border of another nation. Seriously, if that event with Lazarus had really been allowed to take root and wasn't perceived as a moment for fear, what would our world have been like? But alas, it was not the moment for it. It was a moment for reasoning. And the reasoning was, we have an occupying nation called the Romans. If this man's work is unhindered, people will run after him and they will challenge Caesar. They will challenge the Romans as they seek to make Jesus king, like a new Moses. And if they do that, the Romans will come in, and the Romans will, with all their force and might, they will destroy us. And we can't let that happen. So let us allow one man to die so that the nation might live. That was the rationale offered for the following series of plots against the life of Jesus. The easy way out, it depends on how you look at it. But it seemed prudent to those who spoke. The gospel writer even makes the point that what Caiaphas said wasn't of his own accord, that he was high priest and therefore he was prophesying in his role of high priest. He was stating that which was to come. It was all laid out. And they were simply the instruments to affect this outcome. But I think it also offers for us an opportunity to reflect on our own dealings with realities when God opens up before our eyes greater possibilities. We can all be subject to fear. And I know that. And the fear can cause us to do things that are not in keeping with the path of this human family. And there is a challenge there. And it's one that we have to wrestle with time and again. You see, it's not in our best interest to point fingers at the Jews. They were simply living out their challenges and trying to meet their challenges in the way that they thought was the way to go. But what we have to do is to look at our own challenges. And if you look at their perspective from where they were, with the threat of an occupying nation with great power, who in many ways already despised them. And you can see their reasoning. And we can always have good reasoning. But is it always what is the best option? So this morning, as you reflect with me on this passage, I want us to reflect on the various challenges that come our way, and to understand that some we will surmount, and others we will respond just as the Jews did. It is all part of the growing that is taking place. It's not for us to judge, but it is for us to learn from what is offered as examples from the lives of other people. You see, we not only have each other, but we have those who've gone before. We have stories about them. We have accounts of their experiences and their journeys. Unfortunately, many accounts we have tossed away, just like the Jews of Jesus' day tossed away all that he brought. So too in our time, there are many things that we have tossed away and refuse to accept. Things that perhaps might very well take us higher. But we yet seem always to be able to accept the things that keep us earthbound, that keep us grounded in this world and not help us to go higher. There's so much pain and agony in our world. This pandemic has done a horrible job on us all. And it has impacted some more than others. There's tremendous anxiety. There's tremendous depression. And many who've lost their livelihoods. There are persons who have had small businesses and their entire life was in the business. They were not making millions. They were just making enough to keep family together and to contribute. And for some, it might even have been a labor of love. But all that is gone. And how do we move from here? What message do we receive today as it relates to where we are now? How can we rise from our fear? How can we seek to not allow our fear to cause us to make decisions which are not really in our greatest interests? And yes, those who've lost so much may even feel themselves hopelessly unable to even make any more decisions. But as long as we're alive, as long as we have each other, and we can begin to look at each other as fellow pilgrims on this road, we can open to each other and we can assist each other in growing. We have so many opportunities in our world where there's an invitation for the world to come together and help. And yes, we know the story of this pandemic, that it showed up the selfishness of our world. But I'm sure that there have been places where love has abounded. And you and I need to make sure that those places where love abounds are in us, and that we represent those places because of who we are and whose we are. So yes, the Jews did what they thought was in their best interests. But there are always other ways, and guidance is always present if we are willing to wait and to listen.
Kindness is revealed. Walk, walk.